Why do so many people feel stuck, drifting through life with a mind that won't cooperate? We chase comfort, we avoid effort, we numb ourselves with distractions. Yet we wonder why our spirit feels weak, unfocused, and tired of its own excuses. The truth is simple. Comfort is slowly killing the discipline and mental strength you were born to build. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations not as a philosopher sitting in peace, but as an emperor surrounded by chaos, betrayal, and war. And yet, his mind stayed sharp, calm, and unbreakable. Today, you and I will walk through 8 brutal Stoic rules that can rebuild that same strength inside you. Rules that strip away illusions, expose your weaknesses, and reshape your mind into something disciplined, resilient, and dangerous in the best way possible. Before we begin, take a breath and commit to this journey. Your transformation starts now. 1. Embrace discomfort like a warrior. If you want to fix your mind, you must first destroy the illusion that comfort is your friend. It isn't. Comfort is the silent poison that weakens your discipline, kills your ambition, and numbs the part of you that was built for greatness. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort, avoiding difficult conversations, avoiding difficult decisions, avoiding difficult emotions, and in doing so, they avoid the very path that would have made them strong. The Stoics believed that discomfort wasn't something to escape, it was something to train with. Marcus Aurelius woke each morning, reminding himself that the day would bring difficulty, rudeness, selfishness, and chaos. Why? Because expecting hardship sharpens your mind. Preparing for it strengthens your character. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would purposely sleep on the floor, eat the simplest food, and wear rough clothing just to remind himself that he could endure with or without comfort. He refused to let softness rule his mind. Modern life has made discomfort optional, and that's exactly why you feel mentally fragile. When everything is easy, you lose the muscles that make you powerful: patience, discipline, resilience, and focus. Think about the times you became stronger. It wasn't during comfort. It wasn't when life handed you something gentle. It was the heartbreak you survived, the failure you rebuilt from, the struggle that forced you to grow. Every scar you carry today is proof that discomfort has shaped you more than comfort ever could. But embracing discomfort doesn't mean seeking suffering for no reason. It means choosing the kind of difficulty that builds you instead of breaks you. It means going to the gym when you feel tired, finishing the project when your mind wants to escape, starting the conversation you've been avoiding, saying no when you want approval more than respect, waking up early when comfort whispers, stay. Every one of these is a small battle, and every time you choose the harder path, you reclaim a piece of your power. Discomfort exposes who you really are. It strips away excuses, reveals your true limits, and forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you want to be. When you avoid discomfort, that gap grows. When you face it, the gap closes. One of the most dangerous lies people tell themselves is, "I'll start when I feel ready." No, you won't. Readiness is born inside discomfort. Confidence is built through action. Strength is built through resistance. A warrior does not wait for the perfect moment. He creates it by stepping into the fire before he feels prepared. Here's the truth. The moment your mind panics, resists, or tries to escape, that is the exact moment growth begins. So here's your Stoic challenge. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, choose one simple discomfort and do it without negotiation. Take a cold shower. Walk instead of driving. Skip sugar for 24 hours. Speak up in the meeting. Sit with your emotions instead of distracting yourself. Do anything that forces you to reclaim control over your impulses. You don't need to change your entire life today. Just take one step into the discomfort your old self would have avoided. Because every time you face it, you build a new identity, one made of strength, clarity, and self-respect. Repeat this line silently to yourself as you move through your day. Discomfort is my training ground. 2. Master your emotions before they master you. Most people lose the battle long before life even challenges them because they can't control their own reactions. One comment triggers them, one inconvenience ruins their day, one mistake sends them spiraling. They don't respond to life. They explode at life. And the painful truth is this: if you cannot command your emotions will command your entire destiny. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." That single idea explains 99% of human suffering. We think our pain comes from events, but it comes from our interpretations, our stories, our impulses, our untrained reactions. And nothing destroys a person faster than a mind that panics before it thinks. Look at the world today. Road rage, online arguments, jealousy disguised as confidence, people living on emotional autopilot, controlled by their impulses like puppets. And here's the dangerous part. The more you let emotions run wild, the weaker your self-control becomes. You lose respect, you lose clarity, you lose your ability to decide who you are in the moment. If you want to fix your life, you must first fix the gap between stimulus and response. Imagine this. Someone insults you. Instant reaction, anger, defensiveness, justification. Stoic reaction? A pause, a breath, a moment of power. Because the second you pause, the emotion loses control over you. That pause is where your strength lives. It's where your decisions, not your impulses, are made. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Most people reverse this. They try to control everything except themselves. They try to change people, situations, outcomes, while neglecting the one thing they fully command, their inner world. Mastering your emotions begins with mastering your interpretations. You get cut off in traffic. Are you being attacked, or did someone make a mistake? Your partner uses the wrong tone. Are they disrespecting you or just stressed? A co-worker criticizes your work. Are they humiliating you or giving you a chance to grow? Emotion wants the dramatic version. Wisdom chooses the accurate one. When you shift your interpretations, your emotional world begins to change. And make no mistake, emotional control is not suppression. Stoics never said, "Don't feel." They said, "Feel, but don't obey every feeling." Emotions are signals, not commands. Anger tells you something is wrong. Fear tells you something matters. Sadness tells you something needs attention. But none of these emotions should be in the driver's seat. So here is the Stoic protocol. Simple, powerful, and life-changing. Pause when emotion rises. Freeze for 2 seconds. Interrupt the automatic reaction. Breathe 3 slow breaths. Bring oxygen to reason, not impulse. Question, ask. Is this about the situation or about my interpretation of it? This one question alone can save relationships, careers, and reputations. Practice this daily, and you will begin to feel something shift inside you. Moments that used to trigger you will no longer control you. People who once manipulated your reactions will lose their power. Situations that once overwhelmed you will suddenly feel smaller, because mastering your emotions doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. From now on, repeat this line when you feel your emotions taking over. I am the master, not the puppet. 3. Stop expecting life to be fair. One of the biggest reasons people stay miserable is because they cling to an illusion that was never promised. The idea that life should be fair. They believe good things should happen because they're good people. They believe loyalty should be returned because they were loyal. They believe effort should equal reward. But the world doesn't work that way, and expecting it to will break your heart again and again. The Stoics understood a truth most people refuse to accept. Life is not fair, and it never will be. But that doesn't mean you are powerless. It means you must shift your mindset from entitlement to ownership. Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Not because life is gentle, but because it hits without warning, without fairness, without explanation. Strength comes from accepting that reality, not fighting it. Think about your own life. You've met people who betrayed you, even though you gave them loyalty. You've worked hard at jobs where someone less capable was promoted before you. You've cared for people who didn't care back. You've been judged unfairly, blamed unfairly, and overlooked unfairly. And every time it hurt, not because the event was cruel, but because you expected fairness. Fairness is a beautiful idea, just not a reliable strategy for living. Stoicism teaches a different approach. Don't expect fairness. Expect challenges. Expect chaos. Expect setbacks. Then prepare yourself to meet them with strength, clarity, and composure. When you stop expecting fairness, every difficulty stops feeling like an injustice and starts feeling like training. Think of Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome. Yet he faced betrayal, political attacks, war, and plague. Imagine being the most powerful man in the world and still realizing you can't control fairness. Instead of complaining, he wrote page after page, reminding himself to accept what he could not change and respond with virtue. Here's the painful truth. Life doesn't owe you fairness. People don't owe you kindness. The world doesn't owe you understanding, but you owe yourself discipline, direction, and self-respect. That's where your real power lives. When someone mistreats you, don't waste your energy thinking it's not fair. When opportunities slip away, don't collapse into self-pity. When life hits you harder than you expected, don't assume you're cursed. Instead, ask the only question that matters. What can I build from this? Because unfair moments are not barriers. They are invitations. Invitations to grow thicker skin. Invitations to refine your character. Invitations to rise above your old limitations. Every powerful person you admire has one thing in common. They stopped waiting for the world to be fair and started becoming stronger than the world. So here's your Stoic practice. Whenever you feel mistreated, misunderstood, or overlooked, pause and tell yourself, this isn't unfair. This is fuel. Use it, apply it, transform it. From today forward, replace the expectation of fairness with the discipline of resilience. You'll suffer less, you'll grow faster, and you'll build a mind that nothing and no one can break. Repeat this line to yourself when life feels harsh. Life owes me nothing, and I still rise. 4. Control what you can. Release what you can't. One of the greatest sources of human misery is our obsession with controlling things that were never ours to control in the first place. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want situations to unfold exactly as we planned. We want outcomes to reward our effort, and when they don't, we collapse into frustration, anxiety, and self-doubt. Not because the world failed us, but because we placed our peace in the wrong place. The Stoics built an entire philosophy around one simple, brutal truth. Your power ends at your own thoughts, actions, and choices. Everything else is noise. Epictetus said it directly. Some things are in our control, and some are not. Those 10 words can liberate a person or terrify them, because the moment you accept this truth, you can no longer blame the world for your discomfort. You must take responsibility for your reactions, your habits, your discipline, your direction. Think about how much of your suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. You try to control someone's opinion of you. You try to control whether people stay or leave. You try to control timing, outcomes, and opportunities. You try to control the past, replaying it, rewriting it, wishing it were different. But control is not found in forcing the world. It's found in mastering yourself. Picture this. You're on a ship in a violent storm. You can't control the waves. You can't control the wind. You can't control the sky. But you can control your hands on the wheel. You can steer. You can stay steady. You can decide not to panic. That's Stoicism. Peace isn't found in calm waters. It's found in strong hands. The moment you stop trying to control everything outside of you, something incredible happens. Your anxiety decreases. Your direction sharpens. Your strength returns. You stop living on emotional roller coasters built by other people. Nothing drains a mind faster than obsessing over what you can't command. You cannot control the past. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control how someone chooses to interpret your actions. But you can always control the way you show up, the way you speak, the way you manage your time, the way you protect your peace. That is your domain. That is your fortress. Here's the hard part. Letting go is not weakness, it's discipline. It takes tremendous strength to release what your ego wants to grip. But when you let go, you return to your center. You reclaim your energy. You stop giving power to things that never deserved it. Here is a Stoic practice that can change your life, starting today. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or lost, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself one question. Is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action immediately. If the answer is no, release it without negotiation. This single habit will save you from hours of overthinking, weeks of emotional exhaustion, and years of unnecessary suffering. Because the truth is simple, most of what stresses you, it isn't yours to fix. Most of what angers you, it isn't your responsibility. Most of what scares you, it isn't even happening yet. You become powerful the moment you stop fighting battles that aren't your battles. From now on, let this be your anchor. I stand strong in what I control, and I release the rest. 5. Train harder than life requires. Most people crumble when life becomes difficult. Not because the challenge is too big, but because their preparation is too small. They want a strong mind without resistance. They want resilience without discomfort. They want grit without training. But strength doesn't appear when life gets hard. Strength is built long before the storm arrives. The Stoics practiced a concept called voluntary discomfort, a deliberate choice to face difficulty so that real hardship would never break them. Seneca slept on the floor, wore rough clothing, and lived simply for days at a time, even though he was wealthy. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind daily to expect conflict, betrayal, fatigue, and adversity. They understood a truth we forget today. If you only train at your comfort level, life will destroy you at its difficulty level. Modern life has softened us. Heated homes, easy entertainment, fast food, endless distractions. We live cushioned, protected, insulated. But convenience weakens the mind. Ease dissolves discipline. When everything comes quickly, effort becomes foreign. And when real pressure finally hits, loss, rejection, failure, illness, financial struggle, people collapse because they've never trained for resistance. Strength does not grow in comfort. Strength grows when you deliberately enter situations that stretch you. Training harder than life requires does not mean becoming reckless. It means building a prepared mind, a capable body, an unbreakable spirit. It means choosing the difficult thing, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you respect your future self too much to leave them unprepared. So what does voluntary discomfort look like today? It looks like taking a cold shower when your body begs for warmth. It looks like fasting for a day to prove hunger doesn't control you. It looks like leaving your phone in another room so your focus can breathe. It looks like working out on the days you feel unmotivated. It looks like finishing a project when your emotions want escape. It looks like having the uncomfortable conversation instead of hiding behind silence. Each of these is a small rebellion against weakness, a signal to your brain that you choose strength over ease. And each one builds a layer of mental armor that protects you when real adversity arrives. Here's the truth. Life will test you. Life will push you. Life will expose every weakness you've been avoiding. But if you have trained harder than life requires, those tests become stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Where others panic, you stay calm. Where others freeze, you move. Where others break, you adapt. Because resilience isn't built in crisis, it's revealed in crisis. Think of the strongest people you know. They're not unbreakable because life has been kind to them. They're unbreakable because they've practiced being uncomfortable. They've learned to do what is necessary, not what is easy. They've conditioned their minds to face difficulty with intention, not fear. So here's your Stoic challenge for this week. Choose 2 forms of voluntary discomfort and commit to them, not to torture yourself, but to train the part of you that refuses to quit. Cold showers, no sugar for 48 hours, early wake-ups, daily silence, a tough workout, a hard conversation, a digital detox, manual labor, something that forces your mind to engage, not retreat. Because every time you do the difficult thing, you send a message to your future self. When life gets hard, I will not fall. I've trained for this. Let that truth become your identity. 6. Detach from outcomes. Fall in love with process. One of the biggest traps of modern life is the obsession with results. Everyone wants the promotion, the perfect body, the financial breakthrough, the recognition, the validation. But very few want the grind, the discipline, the repetition, the patience, the consistency. We worship outcomes and then wonder why we feel anxious, empty, and disappointed. Because the moment you attach your identity to results, you surrender your peace to something you cannot fully control. Stoicism offers a brutal but liberating truth. You control effort. You never control the outcome. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do what is right. The rest is not your concern." Not because outcomes don't matter, but because outcomes shouldn't decide your worth. When your happiness depends on results, you will live in emotional chaos. When your happiness depends on your process, you will live in power. Think about it. You can give your best and still be rejected. You can work hard and still lose. You can show up every day and still not see progress right away. If your motivation collapses every time results don't match your expectations, you will spend your whole life starting and quitting. Starting and quitting. Stuck in the endless loop of disappointment. The Stoics knew better. They trained themselves to judge success by their actions, not by external rewards. A warrior doesn't control the outcome of the battle, but he controls how he prepares, how he fights, how he carries himself. A farmer can't control the weather, but he can control the seeds he plants and the work he puts in. A creator can't control the audience response, but they control the discipline of showing up. The strongest people aren't attached to winning, they're attached to showing up. And because they show up consistently, they eventually win. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop dependent caring. It means you no longer let outcomes decide your value, your mood, your identity, your confidence, your direction. You still want the best, but you're no longer destroyed when things don't go your way. Detachment frees you. Attachment enslaves you. Look at how outcome obsession destroys peace. You post something online. You check likes every minute. You work hard, but one criticism ruins your day. You go to the gym, but quit because you don't see results fast enough. You love someone, but cling to how they should act. The outcome becomes the cage. Your expectations become the prison guard. But when you fall in love with process, consistency becomes your superpower. You focus on the controllables, your effort, your attitude, your discipline, your repetitions, your progress, and suddenly your life becomes lighter, calmer, stronger. You stop forcing everything. You stop chasing validation. You stop begging for results. You simply work, and the work itself becomes your reward. Here is your Stoic practice. Define your ideal daily process, not your ideal outcome. Your process might look like 45 minutes of deep work, 10 pages of reading, 1 workout, a moment of silence. 1 decisive action toward your long-term goal. If you complete the process, you win, even if the results haven't arrived yet. Because results are delayed rewards for disciplined people. Outcomes follow the process the way a shadow follows the body, not the other way around. From now on, remind yourself, I don't chase outcomes, I build myself, and outcomes follow. 7. Remember death. Live with urgency. Most people live as if they have unlimited time. They postpone their dreams, delay their responsibilities, and stretch their potential across a future they assume is guaranteed. They say, later, tomorrow, one day, as if life is patiently waiting for them to get serious. But the Stoics confronted the truth directly. You are running out of time and you don't know how much is left. Memento mori wasn't meant to be dark. It was meant to awaken you. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reminders of his own mortality, not to depress himself, but to sharpen his urgency. When you remember death, you stop wasting life. Think about how differently you would live if you truly felt time slipping. You would stop tolerating relationships that drain you. You would stop delaying conversations that matter. You would stop wasting hours on distractions that give you nothing. You would finally do the thing your future self is begging you to start. Death is the great clarifier. It strips away excuses, ego, procrastination, fear. Suddenly, the opinions of others don't matter. Petty problems shrink. What remains is what's real, your character, your purpose, your actions. And here's the paradox. Remembering death makes life feel more alive. When you understand that every sunrise is borrowed, you appreciate it deeper. When you see that every moment is fragile, you treat it with more honor. When you grasp that time is finite, you stop living on autopilot. Here's your Stoic exercise. Simple, but life-changing. Ask yourself 3 questions every morning. If I died in a year, what would I change? If I died in a month, what would I stop tolerating? If I died tomorrow, what would I regret not doing? Then act on one answer today, not tomorrow. Not when life feels easier, today. Because urgency isn't panic. Urgency is clarity. You are not promised a long life, but you are promised this moment. Use it with intention. Use it with courage. Use it with purpose. Repeat this to yourself. I live like time is borrowed, because it is. 8. Live by virtue, not approval. One of the greatest traps in modern life is the addiction to being liked. People shapeshift their personality just to fit in. They soften their opinions to avoid tension. They hide their values so no one judges them. They trade authenticity for applause. And the cruel irony is this: the more you live for approval, the more invisible you become, to others and to yourself. The Stoics rejected this weakness completely. They believed virtue, not popularity, was the foundation of a strong life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, if it makes people happy. He didn't say, if it wins applause. He didn't say, if everyone agrees. He said right and true, the 2 pillars of a warrior's integrity. When you live for approval, your identity is always borrowed. When you live for virtue, your identity becomes unshakable. Think about how much of your stress comes from the fear of judgment. You hesitate to speak because someone might disagree. You avoid decisions because someone might criticize. You water down your standards because someone might be offended. You stay quiet when you should stand firm because you want to be liked more than you want to be respected. But here's the thing, every moment you abandon your values to please others, you lose a little piece of yourself. And every moment you stand in your principles, especially when it's hard, you gain strength that cannot be taken from you. Virtue is not